Bring in market watcher Scott Martin on this. Okay, you're a market guy.
Yes.
I take it you would not be buying Boeing stock at this point.
Not right now. It's still a little too early. Sometimes these are opportunities, though, Stuart, because the market does tend to overreact if we assume the worst and it nails the stock, as we're seeing this morning. But not yet. And I'm also a person, too, in the intro I would have liked to be happy to be flying home on an Embraer today, not a Boeing, because you brought up the right point. What if you did want to change your flight? Social media is exploding, and people are saying, we don't want to fly, we're nervous. Like Ash mentioned, other countries are grounding these planes. So far, we've seen that the U.S. is still saying, hey, it's okay to fly on these things.
And the European Union says the same thing.
Absolutely.
So,
Across Europe.
Okay. Let's move on. We've dealt with Boeing. You're not going to buy it. You wouldn't catch a falling knife, so to speak.
Looks like it's overvalued.
But the rest of the market, it's up. The S&P 500 going to open higher. NASDAQ going to open higher. What's moving market up this morning?
I thought those comments from Powell were pretty good. You hit on them earlier. I mean, again, this comment about no recession, meaning that they are probably, and the way I read that was, they're going to do anything humanly possible, anything federally possible to keep this music going. And so as far as that's concerned, as far as the market looks at interest rates, as far as it looks at liquidity, those are things that the market wants to see the Fed engaged in to keep the S&P 500 moving up.
So what's your outlook here? I mean, this is, we've had a terrific 2019. Last week wasn't great, but now... A little lull.
I think we're going to see a little lull here just because we have had a nice rip up so far beginning of the year. But I do think as we come into the summer here and maybe the economy refires, you're talking about that with Westbury, where maybe we're going to get that crazy growth rate that he thought. I don't know if it's going to be quite that high, but it's going to be good. I mean, there's going to be a decent growth rate here, I think, that hits the U.S. economy later this year. So I think that's going to push the market to new highs.
We've had Larry Kudlow on this program. We've had Dennis Hassett on this program saying 3% growth for this entire year. Brian Westbury is talking a couple of quarters at 4%. Man, that's a real robust economy.
It's pretty amazing, and that's considering that we won't have like a crazy tax cut in there. We have very good peak job growth. I mean, you've got a lot of things going that are already firing on all cylinders.
What do you make of these retail sales numbers? I mean, in December, down 1.6%. But in January, if you keep cars and autos out, up 1.2%.
Right. And then you've got recent job growth numbers showing that wage growth is now pushing, believe it or not, Stuart, to 3.5%, maybe to 4% by the summer. So you've got a strong consumer. And then the only thing that concerns me, though, about the consumer is the housing market. Housing market's turning a little bit weak. That's a lot of our biggest assets on our balance sheets. If your housing price isn't appreciating, you don't feel as good at the stores.
But I tell you, after watching that Powell interview and listening to Larry Kudlow and the rest, the idea that we're going to bounce back with a sharp rate of growth for this year, Democrats are going to hate that. However,
I think it's going to hurt them.
I think so. I believe so. Scott Martin, thank you very much, sir.
Yes, Stuart.